Blabber.
After that, I reached high school age, and you grow out of the adolescence, of the I'll call it the ugly duckling syndromes or whatever, whether that's internally or externally, and I was friends with everyone, and this gal, she didn't like that, and she had a lot of reasons to, I guess, be jealous of me in her own mind. And it later came out in court as she was charged with a felony and 2 misdemeanors because she attacked me on school property when I was 16 years old. Wow. She broke my jaw in 3 places. She broke my nose. She broke a lot of teeth. She caused enough havoc on my face, which every blow was to my face. And my jaw was wired shut for 8 weeks. I was in the hospital. And my school at the time, it was a completely different ball game. It was a completely different era. It was run by completely different people. And so this is no judgment upon them at this time. But at that time, they did not handle it properly. And it was not a good situation. And my parents didn't know how to handle it properly. They were too busy pointing the finger at each other. And it really sucked. And I hadn't been back to that high school since the day that incident had happened. And of course, we all know, like, from getting to know me a little bit, that I went on to do a lot of other stuff in the interim. But last year, I got this call to come back to the high school, and it was the pep rally. And, it was the entire gymnasium full of these people and the wonderful people at the Latrobe Airport. I mean, I got taken up in a helicopter, and then I went to my high school, and I got to come in and be honored during the pep rally. And feeling the energy of all those kids and being back there after all this time, I think one of the most beautiful things in life, and why God put us here to begin with, is to experience those moments, because those were things that, from the triumphs that we got to live through and had to overcome, and because we got through it, that natural pay it forward, come full circle reward. And that was my moment. I mean, I've played on some huge stages. I've got to do some pretty cool stuff. But that moment with those kids was one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my entire life. And I am grateful.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, how much of your story were they aware of up front, or did you basically get to tell your testimony or your story while you were there?
Pretty much. They didn't know a lot of backstory other than my accomplishments, the right. Kids at the time, and the staff, the faculty knew.
Right.
They knew, and so they knew how much it meant. And we actually have plans for me to return there to do an entire assembly about and around what happened to me. And I think that that's amazing. And that day really awoke something in me, to be honest with you, Mike, because I always let people for the last, my entire professional career, judge this book by its cover, because people look at me and I've got a bubbly disposition, and they pretty much think because I'm happy that I never had to overcome anything hard in my life. And that's a far cry from the damn truth. And I've been having to be a fighter, like a little female Rocky, the underdog my whole life. And it has not been easy, but overcoming all of that and then getting back there, it really made me realize that it's time for me to stop letting people judge this book by a cover. And it's okay. And I wanted to look fear in the face of facing all of the bad things that had happened to me, because I got to hide behind that mask of what people thought that they saw in me. And it was a nice escape for a few years, but I realized coming back there that this entire gymnasium could be full of either people that are like her or people that are like me. And I want to help them. I want them to know that, the bullies don't win. And then if something bad happens, that you shall rise above, and that overcome. You can.
Yeah.
And so I started, from that day on, I started being vulnerable and not afraid anymore. And I started telling my truth and my true story of what happened. And that brought on some beautiful things. I've done some virtual school assemblies during COVID. And then with my show, Nat Around Town, doing the at-home editions without being able to be out there, I did some wonderful interviews with legendary locals who are my dear friends. And I always kicked off every episode by bringing a high school senior on who missed their milestone moments because of what happened. It happened to me at 16. I graduated early, and I left at 17 and graduated high school in a tour bus. So I missed proms. I missed graduation. I never got to wear a cap and gown. So I understand what that's like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I graduated early and missed all that as well, but for different reasons, because I was dumb and I had enough credits and was thinking I was done with school. And you look back and you're like, boy, I really wish I would have, went through my whole senior year instead I had a half a senior year, but that's a different
You were
story.
a smarty pants. He was a smarty pants.
I think he was just too tall and he couldn't get through the doors anymore.
Well, that's possible.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's quite
I
possible.
love it. I got to take this off. It's like, I can feel it like sliding down at any moment. It's going to hit ground zero.
This wig is getting hot, but that's okay. We're going to tough it out and stay in character. But no, I think that that's a beautiful way to inspire people because, it's so easy for people to judge a book by its cover, as you said, to look at you, see, you're very busy around town. We see your face on billboards, throughout the town. We see you on, the internet. We see you, with the Steelers, you name it. It's easy to look at that and say, it's easy for her to be happy and bubbly. You know what I mean? She's got it all, whatever. But what about me? Like I'm like, look where I am.
Right.
And if they know the beginnings of that could be a huge inspiration for somebody. So God bless you for trying to get that message out there. So that's awesome.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.